Welcome to Science Store online classes.
Don't forget to like our video and subscribe our YouTube channel for all the updates.
Hello students, welcome to online physics class. We have been discussing about mechanical properties of fluids. So in that we have discussed about Pascal's laws. There are two laws. So what the first law says, according to first law, according to the first law, so at every point on the inside the fluid which are in the same height, the pressure will be same. Inside the fluid, at every point which are on the same height, the pressure will be same. So if your second law is, if you apply a pressure at any point of a fluid, the same pressure will be transmitted to other parts without diminished or without changed. So if you apply a pressure at one portion, if this container having a fluid, and if you apply a pressure here, same pressure will be transmitted everywhere inside that container. So everywhere in that container. So that is second law of Pascal law, Pascal's law. Then we have discussed about hydraulic paradox. So what is that hydraulic paradox? So no matter what the shape of the container is, no matter what the size of the opening is, as far as it is it's the same container, fluid will be raised to the same height. So I have showed you A, B, C, D, 4 containers which are connected to each other, and when you pour the water, all the 4 containers they fill parallelly and equally. So the height of the liquid, not equally, that I shouldn't mention, the height of the liquid will be equal in all the containers. So that is hydraulic paradox, and where the applications I just mentioned, there are 2 applications, hydraulic lift and hydraulic brakes. So hydraulic brakes means your brakes of your vehicle, so of your car. So actually you are applying small force on the brake, correct? You are just pressing the brake in the car. So whole car will come to rest. The car is very huge. The weight of the car will be very huge. Compared to the weight of the car, the force you applied on the brake is very less. Do you agree with that? Then how come the whole car will come to rest? We know that force is responsible for any object to bring to rest. So if the whole car, heavy car is coming to rest, means there should be something, correct? So before that, let me explain you hydraulic lifts. Hydraulic lift, how it works. See, in hydraulic lift, there will be, so this is how it will look like. This is the container, okay. This is the container. So here you have one end which is having small area of cross section. Here you have another end which is having large area of cross section. So this is how your container will be, and this container will be filled with the fluid. You will fill this with the fluid, anything, water or any other fluid or air or anything, to the same height, correct? It will be in the same height, that we know because of Pascal. So not because of Pascal's law, that's what Pascal's law states. So this height here and this height here will be same. Alright. Now this is a small area of cross section, correct? This is a small area of cross section which I call A1. This area of cross section is A1. This opening has a large area of cross section. Let me call it as A2. Alright. So anybody can say that A2 is greater than A1. the area, this A1 is a small area and A2 is a larger area. So this is the technique how hydraulic lift works. Now I apply a force here. What I do? I apply some force, F1 amount of force. F1 is applied on the area A1. Do you agree with that? I apply force on that small piston. Let me call these two as a piston. So this is piston with the area of cross section A1, this is piston with the area of cross section A2. So I apply F1 amount of force. This piston will move inside, isn't it? This will move inside this and that will press the fluid inside. Or imagine the fluid up to here, then there is no confusion. Then it will also be up to here. Okay. So when I apply force F1, F1 is acting on the area A1. So can you say that force per unit area F1 divided by A1 is equal to some pressure. Some pressure P is applied on the fluid, correct? The force F1 is applied on a small area A1 or small piston of area A1. So pressure acting here is P. But this is the same container and fluid is filled here. Pascal's second law, another law says that if you apply pressure at any point of the fluid, same pressure is transmitted to every other point without diminished. Means whatever the pressure I apply here, same pressure is transmitted everywhere, even here also. So what is the direction of force applied? This. So pressure will also be in the same direction. So pressure will be acted upward here. Correct? So the pressure in this part of the fluid is transmitted up to here. So can you say that when you apply a force here, this piston will be lifted for the applied force here. For the applied force here. When I compress the piston here or when I press the piston here, this piston should rise. What happens? This piston should rise. Because when I apply the force here, I am actually transmitting pressure. I am applying pressure on the fluid. And same pressure should transmit to each point of the fluid. So according to Pascal's law. So what happens is, here force is acted in a upward direction. Force is acted in a upward direction on area of cross section A2. So pressure will be acted. Same pressure will be acted. Same pressure should act. So correct, because Pascal's law says that. Now my question is, so here pressure is, here the pressure is equal to the pressure here. Alright, pressure here is equal to pressure here. So can I write the expression for pressure here? So the pressure here, this is at A1, at A2, A2 means at this piston, pressure is equal to force per area of cross section A2. See, if A1 and A2 are equal, then right hand side is same pressure, so left hand side would have been F1 only. If A1 and A2 are equal. But now A1 and A2 are not equal. A2 is greater than A1. A2 is greater than A1. Listen clearly. See, look at this expression, students. Pressure is equal to force per unit area. What does it mean? If area is less, for the applied force, if the area is less, pressure will be more. Correct? So here area is less, so pressure applied on the fluid is more. Whatever the force I apply, for that pressure applied on the fluid is more. Because the area of this piston is less. The math itself says F by A is pressure. So if area is less, pressure should be more. Here area is more. So pressure should be less. But no, pressure is equal because Pascal's law says. So pressure should be equal. Area is changed. Area is greater than which should vary here. The force acting on this piston will vary. So what should be the force? Force, if I call it as F2, this force is greater than the force acting applied here. F2 will be greater than F1. Just think about it. Just go through it once again. Force is pressure by pressure into area. Correct? Force is equal to pressure into area. Force is equal to pressure into area. So pressure is same at both the sides or both the ends. If pressure is P here, pressure here is also P, because Pascal's law says at any point whatever the pressure you apply, that will be transmitted same to the other point of the fluid. So pressure is same. So you can't change pressure. The only one thing you can change here is, the only one thing which is varied here is, not you are changing, varied is area of cross section. Which area is greater? So area of cross section is variable. If the area is greater, then for the same pressure, force will be greater. Do you know that? Do you agree with that? Here, since pressure is constant, can you say that force is equal to some constant, that is pressure into area? Correct? I hope you are following me. I am trying to prove it more mathematically, because maths is more convincing. So pressure is force is equal to pressure into area is known thing. So here pressure is same at both the end. Pressure is same at both the end. So pressure is constant. Pressure in every at any point of the fluid is constant. So can I consider pressure as some constant value? Okay. So force is constant into area for this particular case I am talking. So in this case I can say force is directly proportional to area. Force is directly proportional to area. So force is greater if area is greater. Force is lesser if area is lesser. If area is lesser. So if for F1, though it is lesser amount of force, F2 acting here will be greater, because area here is greater. Even if I apply lesser amount of force here, right, I can make this to lift, make this piston to lift with the greater force. So that's the reason in service center and all, so this kind of lift will be there, which is called hydraulic lift, because they use fluid in this and they will keep their car. So however, I don't know how the car, how to draw the car. So this is your car means, so they'll keep the car here. They want to lift the car to a certain height. How will they lift? So you can't, 10 people can't come and lift the car. There is a chances of breakage, right? So they will just place the car here. So to lift the car you need large amount of force. Large amount of force means large energy supposed to be used. But with the help of hydraulic lift, what they do is, this area they keep it as a small and they apply some amount of force. When they apply a force on this piston, the pressure will be acted on the fluid. Same pressure is transmitted up to here. So due to that pressure, the fluid will apply force on this piston. Whatever the force this fluid applies, that will be greater than what I have applied here, much more greater. Why? Because the area of this piston is large. So whatever the pressure applied on the fluid here, same pressure will be observed here. So for that pressure, to have that pressure, the force should be greater, because the area of cross section is greater. So greater force means greater power. So this object or the car or anything, that will be easily lifted. So you are lifting a huge object by applying small amount of force here. So which will be converted as large amount of force here because of this hydraulic paradox. So object will be lifted. This device is called, or this setup is called as hydraulic lift. You apply small amount of force here and a larger amount of force will be applied on the other. You can construct, or you can make any kind of a model, so by using this principle. So now you are at home and you get a free time, You can think about doing a model of such cases. You can use water as a fluid, take a container, so 2 pistons. So when you apply small, when you just press it here, this other piston should bump up, like it should be coming out with a larger force. It should be able to lift heavier force. So for example, to lift this chalk piece, I need certain amount of force. So some amount of force. But if I keep it on this hydraulic lift now, I don't need that amount of force. I just have to tap it. That will be lifted, because though this force is less, here force will be more, because whatever the pressure applied here, this will be transmitted here. Correct? That's how hydraulic lift will work. Your hydraulic brake, I did mention about hydraulic brake, right? That is, this is the application of hydraulic paradox, students. Hydraulic brake. Hydraulic brakes, your vehicle brakes will also work with the same principle. So how it works is, there are 4 wheels in your vehicle. Let's say it's a car and there are 4 wheels in your car, and those wheels are connected to each other, which are fitted with the piston. They are connected, they will be connected to individual cylinders. So through diagram, you know how good I am at diagram. So yeah, I can, but you can, I can give you the idea. So each wheel, for example, this front and rear wheels, each wheels, right? So they are connected to cylinder, some kind of a cylinder they will be connected. So yeah, which will be fitted with the piston. So this area of cross section will be larger compared to this area. This will be very narrow. This will be very narrow, and they are at the other end will be connected together. Here this thing will be connected to the brake, where you apply the brake. So everywhere there will be piston, here also there will be piston. So here when you just press the brake, while you are driving, you will press the brake, right? So while pressing the brake here, so this will be filled with the fluids, this will be filled with the fluids, oil. So when you press the brake here, right, so that for that small amount of force, the pistons here will be compressed. Piston in each 4 cylinder will be compressed. So where their area of cross section is narrow, so fluid inside the cylinder will also be compressed. Same pressure will be transmitted to the other end of this cylinder, where the large piston with large area is attached. So with the same principle, so they will apply more force on the piston. Those pistons are designed in such a way that they will put a brake to this each wheel. So all the wheels will come, the whole vehicle will come to rest. So that's how it will work with the principle of hydraulic lift. So this is the application part of hydraulic lift. So there might be problem solving from this portion. So the similar setup with the values of A1 and A2 will be given. So value of F1 will be given, you may have to calculate value of F2. So you can, then you know this formula, P is equal to F1 in by A1, P is equal to F2 by A2. So you can say F1 by A1 is equal to F2 by A2. Alright. So force per unit area here should be equal to force per unit area here, because force per unit area is pressure, so it should be equal. So if they ask you to calculate F2, then bring A1 here. If they F1, bring A1. So any quantity you can calculate. So this is the funda. F1 by A1 should be equal to F2 by A2, whereas A1 and A2 the areas on which the forces acted respectively. So application part of it. So far we have been discussing about fluids which are at rest. So static fluids. So hereafter we will discuss about flowing fluids. So which branch is called as fluid dynamics. Fluid dynamics means flowing fluids. It might be air or it might be liquid. So flowing fluid, study the branch of physics or a science which deals with the flowing fluid is nothing but fluid dynamics. So we will discuss about that. So we are going to discuss about that. So hello students. So fluid dynamics, what are we going to discuss in this chapter? Fluid dynamics alli navu enna kalitivi anta. Fluid dynamics alli navu ಫ್ಲೋ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡಿನ ನೇಚರ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಅದು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡುವ ಪಾತಿನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಅದರ ಸ್ಪೀಡಿನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸೊ ನಾವು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲಿಯುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೊ ಫ್ಲೋ ಆಫ್ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಯು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್, ಲೈಕ್ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಯು ವೇಕ್ ಅಪ್, ಯು ಗೋ ಟು ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ಅಪ್, ಯು ಟರ್ನ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಟ್ಯಾಪ್, ಸೊ ಯು ಸಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಫ್ಲೋ ಆಫ್ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್. ಯು ಗೋ ಟು ರಿವರ್, you see the flow of water or water current in a river, or you go to beach side and you observe the flow of water in the sea. So water, are they similar? The water flowing out of tap, water in the river, water in the ocean, the waves of the ocean, are they similar? No, right? So even with the tap itself, so when you keep it slow, the type of flow is different. When you keep it fast, when you switch on it to the fast, the flow is different. So there are two types of flow. One is streamline flow, another one is turbulent flow. Streamline is also called steady flow. One is steady flow, steady, or streamline flow. Another one is turbulent. Streamline flow and turbulent flow. So by looking at the name itself, you might be able to make out which is steady. Steady, he is moving steadily, he is reading steadily means constant, correct? Turbulent, okay, turbulence behavior means very rash, so very rough. So yes, exactly the same meaning. Steady flow means fluid moving with very steadily. Turbulence flow means fluid moving with not steadily, non-steadily. So but we can't just say that way. We are not studying any non-science subject. We are science students, especially we are studying physics. It should be mentioned with the scientific terms. It should be mentioned with the science keywords. So what is that? Okay, so let me talk about the steady or streamlined flow here. So when your tap is slow, water is flowing slowly from the out of the tap. So tap is a very good example, students. So just assume, just visualize the water falling out of the tap. When the tap is not kept with very high speed, it is at slow speed. It is slow. So you can literally see how water is falling falling out of the tap and falling on the ground, isn't it? Or in the bucket, is it? So literally they follow a path, isn't it? So water they will follow a path, so straight path. So no water layer, no water molecule cross each other, they follow straightly. No water molecule will cross each other, they will follow steadily. So that is one way. Another way is, water is made up of lot of molecules. So let's say this is your pipe. This is your pipe. So water is flowing inside the pipe. Water is flowing inside this pipe. So water is flowing. So under steady state, so they will be parallel to each other. The flow layer will be parallel to each other. And let me consider this point as a P, this point as a Q, this point as a R, P, Q, R. Okay. So every water is made up of lot of molecules. Every water molecules, right? When they reach P, they'll have a same velocity. Let's say first water molecule, when you switch on the tap, the first molecule comes out of the enters into the tap or enters into the pipe. So that will have a velocity Vp. Every other molecules whichever passes through this point, right, P here, right, they'll have a speed Vp. Every point, so when I mention P here, P should be here. When I mention Q, Q should be somewhere here, R should be somewhere here. So every particle which are passing through this point, right, they will have a speed Vq. The one which is passing here should have a speed Vr. So every particle which are passing through the point, same point, will have a same speed. So it's just like you people are, consider yourself as a molecules of fluid. You are inside the classroom. Door is open. The bell, someone tells you, okay, you can go now, or you will hear the sound of the bell. So you will start to rush out of the classroom. There are two ways that you can go out of the classroom. One is you will form a line, you will slowly go out of the classroom. So every person, that is steady flow or streamline flow. Every single student, when they are passing through the door, right, they will have the same speed. Whatever the speed it may be, every single student, they will have the same speed. When they pass through this point, they will have the speed same. So speed of the student when they are at door may not be equal to speed of the students when they are here in this position. But every student, when they come to this position, all of them will have a same speed. Means when I am here, if I have a speed V1 and I cross and I go, another student comes here, when he reaches here, his speed will be V1 and he crosses and he goes. Another student comes, when he reaches here, he will also have speed V1. So I reach to the door, my speed may be V2 or V1 itself. That can vary or may not vary. But when I reach there, I will have a V2, let's say. The next student who reaches there, he will also have a V2. So you got the idea, right? So the speed of the water molecule or fluid molecule will be same when they passes through the same point. So when they passes through Vp, their speed will be, when they passes through P, their speed will be Vp only. When they passes through Q, their speed will be Vq only. Every particle. So when they passes through R, their speed will be Vr only. So that's how steady flow is. So and the direction, this direction I have showed, right? Direction of fluid shown in a steady flow is called as streamline. This direction is called as streamline. Streamline means what? Streamline is the direction showed, direction of flow of steady flow. Direction of flow of fluid in a steady flow. Now, I draw a tangent here. Okay? I draw a tangent at any point in the path of their flow. So here I draw a tangent. The tangent shows the direction of speed at this point, direction of velocity. If I draw a tangent here, this is the direction of velocity at this point. So direction drawn at any point in the streamline of steady flow is nothing but the direction of speed of the particle in that point. Hope you are convinced here. Okay. So this obeys a law which is called law of continuity. See, remember students, this is very important. So what is law of continuity or state law of continuity will be asked for board as well in your competitive examination. On the conceptual based question will be appeared from law continuity, law of continuity. So what law of continuity says is, so let me consider a pipe, okay. So this is the pipe. Area of cross section here is A1, area of cross section here is A2. Which is greater? A2 is greater than A1. Anybody know that? Anybody can say that. Now, when the fluid reaches here, its speed is V1. When it reaches here, its speed is v2. Let's say fluid is flowing this way. This is the direction of flow of fluid. Okay. And this is a steady flow. What is this? This is a steady flow. Okay. This is the direction. Now, A1 V1 will be equal to A2 V2. A1 V1 should be equal to A2 V2, means the product of area of cross section and the speed at that point will be equal or will remain constant. This can be simply written as AV constant, product of area of cross section and speed. Here V means speed, students. V is speed or velocity, velocity of fluid, velocity of fluid. Why I tell you? So you water the plants, correct? So you turn on the tap, the pipe is connected to the tap, you turn on the tap and you you hold the pipe and you see the water flow, correct? Yes, okay. You cover the half of pipe, suddenly water flow will be raised, speed of the water will be raised, correct? Yes or no? Or if the water, same pipe, different pipe of larger area of cross section is connected to the same tap and switch on the tap, the water flow will be slow. With a smaller pipe, water flow will be very fast. With larger pipe, water flow will be less. So you can say that area of cross section is greater, speed is lesser. Area of cross section is lesser, speed is more. ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಟ್ಯಾಪ್ ಇದೆ, ಟ್ಯಾಪಿಗೆ ಪೈಪ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ವಾಟರ್ ಫ್ಲೋ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸಡನ್ಲಿ ಆ ಪೈಪಿನ ಎಂಡನ್ನು ಹಾಫ್ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಏರಿಯಾ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಯಿತು, ವಾಟರ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರುವಾಗ್ತದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಟು ಯು. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಲಾ ಆಫ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಟಿ. ಏರಿಯಾ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಸ್ಮಾಲರ್ ಆದರೆ ವಾಟರಿನ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್, ಯಾವುದೇ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ವಾಟರ್ ಅಂತಾನೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅದರ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಏರಿಯಾ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂದರೆ ಅದರ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಅದೇ ಟ್ಯಾಪಿಗೆ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಒಂದು ಪೈಪನ್ನು ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಅಂದರೆ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಏರಿಯಾ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಇರುವ ಪೈಪನ್ನು ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಸ್ಪೀಡಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ಯಾಪ್ ಆನ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ವಾಟರ್ ಇದು ಫ್ಲೋ ಸ್ಲೋ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ರಿಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸಣ್ಣ ಪೈಪ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಸ್ಲೋ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ಯಾಪನ್ನು ಆನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ವಾಟರಿನ ಫ್ಲೋ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಯಾಕೆಂತಂದರೆ ಲಾ ಆಫ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಟಿ. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ವಿ ನೋ ದಿಸ್. We all know this because we have seen it, so we have experienced it, but we never heard about law of continuity, right? So that is explained by law of continuity. Law of continuity says that the product of area of cross section and speed will remain constant. Innondu point illi consider ಮಾಡಿ, area of ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿ. This area of cross section is less than this, which is less than this, correct? This is thicker, bigger one, this is medium one, this is smaller one. So here area of cross section is A2. Okay, then speed will be V3. Here which is greater? A1 is lesser than A2, which is lesser than this is A2, this is A3. A3 which is less than A2, correct? Lesser, greater, greatest. So speed ಏನಾಗಬೇಕು, ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. A1 V1 which is greater than V3 which is greater than V2. So as the area of cross section is greater, speed will decrease. That's why this will remain constant. The product of A1 V1 here should be equal to product of A3 V3. It should be equal to product of A2 V2. So you may ask me, here area of cross section is less, ma'am, but speed will be more. So the product AV will be equal to the product of AV here, because here area of cross section is greater but speed is lesser. So this is equation of continuity. The next type of flow is turbulent flow. Turbulent flow means they do not obey whatever I said in a steady flow. So they will overlap on each other. So you can show it in this way. So the waves of ocean, they are turbulent, or when you keep the tap at very high speed, water will forcefully come out, right? That is turbulent flow. They will overlap on each other. They won't follow equation of continuity. So that is turbulent flow. Example is waves of sea, and when it is heavy rain, water flowing in a river, that is turbulent flow. And so when the tap is at very high speed, water coming out of the tap, that is also turbulent flow. So this is about two types of flow: steady flow or streamline flow and turbulent flow.
Don't forget to like our video and subscribe our YouTube channel for all the updates.